guys, welcome back to Common Garage. Today we got episode number 2 of our chopper build series here. Today we're going to be knocking out the whole hardtail half of my frame, and really after today it should be really coming together as a more of a complete chopper. So I'm really excited to be able to move on from here. I know it's been a while since the first episode that we had, but I've had to wait a long time for some metal to come in the mail for the rest of the frame. And I did a lot of back and forth, putting videos together, scrapping video, and I decided just to start fresh here and get one clean single take for this episode. Going forward, I would like to try to push out a video every 2 weeks or so, because I have a lot of content that needs to be filmed, and it's just a matter of me having time to do it, and I'm not really one to push out a video just for the sake of pushing out a video. I'm here to have fun and make it more fun for people to watch. So, but enough of that, let's get going on the bike. Right into it. This is what we're working with right now at this stage. I did get 3 of the 4 sections of the hardtail made before. I had it on video, but I didn't really like the way it was laid out, so I'm gonna redo it here for my third and final side on the left here. I'll walk you guys through on how exactly I made these bends and really the whole frame. So, with a couple notes. So I have my axle plate, and again, this is a 3/4 inch axle plate from TC Bros, just mild steel. I think it's like $30 for a pair of them. But I pretty much just held my axle plate in place after I cut off one side of my swing arm, and then I used PVC pipe to actually mock up how I want the frame to look in bends. I'll get to that in a minute. I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. But I pretty much held it what I want, and I kind of just did my own funky angles really for the frame. There's really no specific way I did it. I just made sure I matched it up on the other side really. Down on the bottom rail, I threw a 1-inch round stock in there as a slug. It's about 3.5 inches long here. And I drilled a hole on each side, tacked it in with my my TIG torch. So now, once I weld this fully around, I don't have to worry about this joint breaking really, because my strongest point will be right here, because this is solid steel in this whole area here, like most people do with hardtails. Up at the top, I had it kind of radiused off, not the best. A little bit of gaps, but I'm just gonna fill that with filler. That's that. And again, down the axle plate, I just notched out the inside of the pipe or the tubing, so I can slide it right down the middle, so I can weld on all 4 kind of lap joints of the tubing, and I'll fill the inside here, the hollow part. I'll just shove some rod in there, kind of cap it off, make it nice and smooth. And I did the same on the lower half and the bottom here. Same plate. Kind of just held because at this point, once I got the right side tacked in, I can then cut off my left side of the swing arm. Got my swing arms down there. So then I knew the chain was in line. I can have the chain taut and perfectly straight. So I know my wheel will be nice and balanced. Hopefully, we'll see. But now I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about, because I probably don't make sense when I talk. And I'm gonna do this top tube here and get it on video for you. All right, so how I made these bends, how I mocked it up with my PVC is I took a 3-foot section of PVC pipe. And this is actually the same diameter as the actual DOM tubing I'm using. So I kind of pretty much cut about the size I kind of guessed. I had some left over on the ends, but I kind of taped it up where I wanted it on the down tube. Just wrapped some duct tape around it. And I took a propane torch, and you heat up where you want your joint to be in your bend. And since it's plastic, it literally melts. It's all gooey. Makes a lot of black smoke, so I couldn't get a good video of it to explain. But hold your torch up to it for like 30 seconds, and you can kind of bend it with your hands as it's in place and kind of mold this into shape. each bend, and if you hold it for about 45 seconds, it will solidify right back up and become solid. So it's a kind of a lot of heating, a lot of bending, a lot of cutting, a lot of reheating and bending again. As you can see, I had to do it a couple times on this one, and pretty much keep playing with it until you get your exact bend of what you're looking for. So this is kind of what I did here. It matches the other side, and then all you gotta do is just make sure you leave enough on your actual tube to do a nice slash cut and everything like that. So this is what I did on the other 3 sides. So after I bent some PVC, I ripped off the tape, and then I can go ahead and put my DOM tubing next to it and match it up with the bends. You pretty much use this as a stencil, and I just recreate this but with steel. I don't know if that makes sense, but it worked. I did it 3 times already. Again, there's probably better ways of doing this with like a frame jig, but I'm not using a frame jig until I get the thing fully tacked. Let's say that. Once I tack this whole thing together, I'll make a frame jig so I can fully weld it and it won't warp on me. With that being said, to actually bend my tubing here, I planned on just using a propane torch, a little handheld one, after you fill it with sand and cap it off so the tubing won't kink. But I planned on using a little handheld propane torch, but I could not get the thing to get hot enough. I left the torch on there for probably 20 minutes and it wouldn't get close to red hot. So I had to take my tubing to work, where I could use an oxyacetylene torch and heat it up there, blah, blah, blah. Got 3 of my 4 done, and then I recently got my own oxyacetylene torch from someone. So I'll be able to show you guys exactly how I did that, all in one take here. So that's how I did my bend, my mock-up, and now I'm just gonna actually make this out of steel, go do my bends. Alright, so I got my piece of tubing locked in my vise here after I filled it and capped it with sand. Make sure it was real packed in there real tight. And again, that's just so the tubing doesn't kink as easily when I apply heat to it and crank down on it. So I went ahead and just took my little piece of PVC mock-up frame that I made and held it up next to it here, and I marked with a marker where I want my bend to be, my first one here. So I can apply heat to that spot. Now, earlier I made a little bending tool here with a bunch of scrap pieces of metal at work. It's just some solid round stock, a little bit of like weird channel radius piece of steel, I don't even know. But it's pretty much just gonna act as a lever to help me bend it a little smoother. So I have a piece of pipe I'll slide over the top of my tubing, kind of hook this little channel underneath it here, and now I can apply my torch heat right onto my spot where I want my bend to be. I can just pull down on this and it'll kind of smoothly roll the steel back and kind of stretch it out. Doesn't work perfect, but it's the best of what I got without a tubing bender, and I don't know, I'm happy with it. So right now we got that piece of tubing bent up. I dumped all the sand out. I went ahead and notched off a slanted piece for the top, for the down tube here, and I notched out the rear of the tubing, which is going to slide right in the center of my axle plate, like so. So it's pressed up there. Actually lines up perfect. So let's go ahead and tack that in there, and then we'll take a nice walk around and check out the frame as a whole. Really happy with how that looks, especially with the nice single down tube backbone here. I think the whole bike just flows really well. I like the funky angles I kind of had to do here. I don't know. For a first frame, I think it looks pretty good. In the back here, you can see the whole offset hub for the chain drive that these Hondas have. I'm not really a fan of it. I kind of hate it a lot, that there's such a narrow gap here, and this whole left side of the bike kind of swoops out. You know, I like the symmetry, so this kind of bothers me, but ignore the tire. The tire's not inflated, so it looks a little crooked. But up at the top, I made these two tubes here have a perfect angle in relation to the down tube. So when the seat's up here, you won't be able to tell, hopefully, that this side's offset that much. So it looks a little goofy, but it's the best we can do. Now what's next for the frame is I'm just gonna throw in some little extra pieces of tubing for the seat going across here, and then again at the down tube going across, try to stiffen up the frame. Maybe I'll throw another one in here. So what I'm thinking I'm gonna do in the future here is I'm gonna take the motor out of the bike, and I'm gonna set the whole frame down on my bench, and I'm gonna make a little jig for the back half at least. And then I think I'm gonna make a whole like TIG welding tips and tricks type of video as I sit down here and weld the whole frame up. I think that could be a lot of fun. I'll maybe, you know, give a few pointers that maybe you guys haven't heard before if you're new to TIG welding, or maybe you're better than I am, which you probably are. But I think that'd be fun. We'll just sit down, you know, vibe out, drink some beer, and do some welding. Some of you have been asking about the car that you see in the background of the videos here, and I'm gonna start making videos on this build coming up soon. It's probably one of the next things I do here. I'm kind of doing a whole race car build on the Trans Am here, so I'm real excited about the future of the channel. We got lots of good content coming out between the rest of the welding and fabricating for the bike, doing paint, to, you know, finishing the motor on the car over here. You know, we got a lot of projects coming up, so stay tuned, guys. We'll see you next time.